More FPL. Today it's time for my Gameweek 9 preview. I'll start by briefly reviewing my Gameweek 8 score. I'll then discuss the top 3 transfers in for each position so far this game week. I'll finish by outlining my plans this week in terms of transfers, starting 11 and captaincy. So let's briefly review my Gameweek 8 score. It was a pretty poor week for me after playing my wildcard with 53 points. Captain Mo Salah of Liverpool got half my points, and the only other returns were Trent Alexander-Arnold, also of Liverpool, and Joao Cancelo of Man City, getting clean sheets. Aaron Ramsdale of Arsenal blanked. Ruben Dias of Man City was surprisingly left on the bench. Reece James of Chelsea was always a risk, and he was also benched. Rafinha wasn't even in the squad, where I was hoping for a sub-appearance. Adam Armstrong of Southampton was also surprisingly benched. Bukayo Saka of Arsenal blanked and went off injured. Romelu Lukaku of Chelsea blanked. And Mikel Antonio of West Ham also blanked. Tino Livramento of Southampton came off my bench with a clean sheet. Brian Mbeumo of Brentford also did, but blanked. He was unlucky not to return, as now hit the woodwork an incredible 6 times this season. Now let's look at the top 3 transfers in so far this week in each position. So let's talk about goalkeepers, starting with Edouard Mendy of Chelsea, who's already gone up in price. Chelsea have kept 5 clean sheets and he missed one of them through injury. They've conceded just 3 goals, the joint least in the league. As I've said before, a premium goalkeeper is never part of my strategy, but he does seem to be the standout option at the moment. He even got 6 saves and a bonus point in the last match. Next is David Raya at Brentford. He's one of a number of good budget options. They've looked impressive and managed to keep 3 clean sheets so far in what's been quite a tough run of fixtures. Particularly from Game Week 10, the fixtures are a lot better. Last is Ben Foster of Watford. Quite simply, he's the only starting 4 million goalkeeper since coming in for Daniel Backman in Game Week 5 and will be a lot of people's backup in an emergency. He has been getting the odd save point. Now let's talk about defenders, starting with Ben Chilwell and Cesar Azpilicueta of Chelsea, where Chilwell has already gone up in price. As mentioned above, Chelsea have the joint best defence in the league. Chilwell has now started the last 2 matches at left wing-back, scoring 2 goals, and appears to have the position for now. But Marcos Alonso was performing well before that, so you'd think he rotates back in at some point. Azpilicueta again started at right wing-back, despite the return of Reece James from injury, and the fact he can also play at right centre-back helps with his security of starts. Last is Joao Cancelo of Man City, who's already gone up in price. Man City have had the joint best defence in the league with 6 clean sheets and just 3 goals conceded. Cancelo was expected to be a rotation risk pre-season, but he started every match, with even Ruben Dias missing out this week. His ability to play right or left back helps his security of starting, and he has great attacking numbers. Now let's talk about midfielders, starting with Mo Salah of Liverpool, who's already gone up in price. He's the top scorer in the game by some distance and has been incredibly consistent, returning in all but 1 game, which is great as a captaincy option. In my opinion, he's simply a must-have, even though the fixtures are mixed. Next is Andros Townsend of Everton, who's also already gone up in price. He didn't return this week, but it's 3 goals and 2 assists so far, and he's been fantastic value at 5.5 million. Everton have a decent next few fixtures before facing Man City in Game Week 12. They'll probably look to midfield more for goals, while Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison are out. Last is Bernardo Silva of Man City, who's also already gone up in price. A goal this week made it 2 goals and assists so far, and he also got all 3 bonus points. In a Man City midfield full of rotation, he's actually been quite a consistent starter. But given only Ferran Torres is out injured now, most are probably rotation prone, aside from maybe Kevin De Bruyne. Finally, let's talk about forwards, starting with Jamie Vardy of Leicester, who's already gone up in price. Another goal this week made him top point scoring forward, and he now has 7 goals and an assist. Leicester have a nice next 8 fixtures, apart from facing Chelsea in Gameweek 12. He's a great alternative, with other premium strikers misfiring. Next is Romelu Lukaku of Chelsea. It was another blank in what turned out to be a hard-fought victory against Brentford, meaning he still has only 3 goals so far. The fixtures have been tough in the main, but Norwich, Newcastle and Burnley in the next 3 is hard to ignore, and he's sure to be a popular captain option this week. The fixtures aren't bad a bit longer term too, and he's started every match so far. Last is Ivan Toney of Brentford. It was another blank this week, but he still looks like a strong budget forward option, especially with the Bees' form and improving upcoming fixtures. He has 2 goals and 2 assists so far, and is now to start every week. So now let's talk about my plans for this game week. Will I be making any transfers? I set up my wildcard to be able to roll my free transfer this week, unless anything disastrous happened. I still may do that, but Saka's injury may force my hand. I'd expect Diaz to come back in, but I'm unsure about James and Armstrong now. I'll probably give it an extra week and have 2 free transfers going into Game Week 10. What about starting 11 and captaincy? Assuming Saka is out and I don't make any transfers, Mbeumo will come into the lineup. Livramento will then be first sub, and Brownhill can come in an emergency. I plan to captain Lukaku this week, and I think I still will, given the Norwich fixture. Salah has Man United, who are poor this week, but I think they'll tighten up this week. I'll post my transfers and final team selection on Twitter once they're done, so follow me at more_FPL for all updates. What are my longer term plans? I'll monitor James and Armstrong over the next week or 2. If James isn't starting, I'll either move for another Chelsea defender or downgrade and invest the money in midfield or up front. Armstrong will become Toney or potentially upgrade to Calvert-Lewin or Patrick Bamford of Leeds, injuries and budget dependent. I'll monitor Antonio's starts around the Europa League, but he seems to be managing both for now, and watch his form with the fixtures toughening up. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Please add your own thoughts and follow-up questions in the comments, and I'll try to get through as many as I can. If you made it to the very end, please destroy the like and subscribe buttons and notification bell to get more FPL.